Apple is for creative thinkers and innovators. Nike is for the determined and driven. Patagonia is for the eco-conscious individuals. Every major brand you can think of has an identity, a personality, and values that makes it more than just a company selling products. But it's not just about their identity. It's also about our identity as a user. Think about it. Why do you pick one brand over another? Of course, quality and price plays a role, but most of the time, it's about how do you feel about that brand. A pair of Nike sneakers isn't just a footwear. It's a statement that says, I show up and I push myself. Choosing Patagonia isn't just about staying warm. It's about saying, I care about the planet. It's almost like these brands act as mirrors, reflecting who we are or who we want to be. And that's where things get really interesting. Are brands shaping their identity to appeal to us, or are they shaping our identity to align with them? This is product psychology about brand identity. Let's start with a simple question. What exactly is brand identity? What makes a brand more than just a name or a logo? What gives it personality, values, or even meaning? If you search for brand identity on Google or YouTube, you'll find answers like colors, logos, and taglines. But it's a lot deeper than that. All these things are just the tools to communicate the brand identity. At its core, a brand is really just how people feel about a product, a service, or a company. It's not what the company says it is, it's what people like you and me believes it is. David A. Aker, in his book Building Strong Brands, describes brand identity as the unique set of associations a brand creates in the minds of its audience. It's not just about what the brand looks like, but what it stands for. These associations can be emotional, functional, or even aspirational. For example, when Apple came up with the Think Different campaign, they were not trying to be just a tech company that makes products for creators. They wanted the creators to make Apple a part of their creative process and start identifying Apple products as their creative tools. Because tools have always been symbols of identity. When you see a stethoscope, you immediately think of a doctor. When you see a paintbrush, it makes you think of a painter. A handsaw reminds you of a carpenter. These tools tell you about someone's craft, their work, and their identity in a split second. But one more interesting thing that Aker emphasizes is that strong brands don't just randomly assign these traits to themselves. They design them very carefully by aligning their identity with what they believe their audience believes the most. Think about Apple again. When they decided to target creative people, their marketing became all about thinking differently and breaking the mold to be creative. One of the boldest moves was making the iMac housing translucent. This wasn't just about aesthetics, it was a way to show the creative beauty of the internal components. And they did not just stop there. The iMac came in multiple colors, which broke away from the usual dull and monotone designs of that time. Similarly, Nike's tagline of just do it is chosen very carefully to align with their identity, that they celebrate the one who do, not the one who wins. Listen to the story of how Phil Knight described Nike.
He says, the next time you're out there before the sun is up, it's dark, it's cold, and it's wet, and you're running by yourself, we're the ones standing under the lamppost cheering you on. That's how he described Nike.
So in an instant, you understand that what this tagline just do it actually means. It has nothing to do with winning, but actually being the pursuit of winning and trying hard and showing up every day. Now let's talk about Adidas for a moment. You've probably seen their mountain-shaped logo. It is designed to symbolize climbing a mountain and overcoming challenges, a powerful metaphor for resilience. The logo was created by Peter Moore, the designer who helped Nike launch the iconic Air Jordans. When he moved to Adidas, he brought the same spirit of bold identity. But there's a twist. While Adidas incorporates this idea of perseverance into their logo, they don't emphasize it as much in their marketing. Their ads and campaigns often lean towards lifestyle and fashion, which creates a disconnect. And this highlights an important truth. Logos and taglines alone don't define a brand identity. It's about what the brand consistently communicates and what people truly believe it stands for. Now, this brings us to even bigger question. Why do we choose certain brands over others? What is it about these logos, taglines, and stories that resonate so deeply with us? To understand that, we need to dive deep into the psychology behind our choices. So, whenever we make a buying choice based on marketing of a brand, we do it based on three things. First is the initial connection that we feel with the brand. Second is the why of the brand, why they do what they do. This makes the initial connection even more rigid and gives a logical justification to our brain for that connection. Third is the trust that we develop in the brand, which usually happens over a long period of time. Now, psychologically, we are very individualistic. So, we don't see these brands as a company or a group. We see them as an individual person or a character with certain values and traits because it's a lot easier to connect and trust a single person or entity than a whole organization. There's a great book called The Hero and the Outlaw by Margaret Mark and Carol Pearson. The book explains that to make this connection faster and stronger, brands often adopt archetypes like some sort of universal characters or roles to build emotional connections. Apple, for example, plays the role of the creator. They embody creativity, originality, and self expression, which appeals to people who see themselves as visionaries or innovators. This use of archetypes ties into how brands align themselves with the identity of their audience. When you buy an Apple product, you're not just buying a gadget, you're buying into the idea that you're a part of a creative, forward thinking community. Similarly, Nike taps into the archetype of the hero. They bring out the mindset of courage, discipline, and overcoming challenges. When you wear Nike, it feels like you are embodying that heroic spirit, whether you're running a marathon or just hitting the gym. Now, after the initial connection is established, then our brain just go and look why we are feeling this connection. And that's when the company's beliefs come into play. Simon Sinek in Start With Why explains this beautifully. People don't buy what to do, they buy why you do it. They buy into the beliefs behind the brand. Let's say you're shopping for a jacket. When you choose the Patagonia, it's not just about keeping warm, it's about saving the planet. Their mission statement, we are into business to save our home planet, isn't just a catchy line. It's woven into every aspect of what they do, from the sustainable material they use to their repair and recycling programs. Patagonia constantly reinforces their belief system. You're not just buying a jacket, you're buying into the idea that you're contributing to environmental conservation. You feel like you're part of a movement, not just a transaction. This belief driven approach is what turns casual customers into loyal advocates. And that loyalty often builds over time, which brings us to trust. Trust is the final and perhaps the most critical element of why we choose certain brands over others. It's not something that happens overnight, it is earned through product performances, consistent actions, and experiences. In Martin Neumeier's book, The Brand Gap, he emphasizes that trust is the foundation of a strong brand. He explains that while marketing might get someone to notice a brand, trust is what keeps them coming back. Trust isn't just about delivering a good product, it's about aligning actions with promises, both in terms of performance and quality of products, as well as in terms of beliefs. Listen to what Steve Jobs said about branding and trust.
People talk a lot about brands. To me, a brand is one simple thing, and that is trust. Your customers trust you. And so brands are like bank accounts. You can have withdrawals and you can have deposits. So if a customer has a great experience, they buy an iPod and they love it, that's a deposit into our brand account in their mind. If they buy something from us and they have a bad experience, then it's a withdrawal. And so if we have a good brand, that means that people are trusting us to make great products and to give them a great experience, and if something goes wrong, to take care of them. And that's what we try to do. We focus on the basic stuff like that.
So, you see, to gain the trust, your words should match the reality. If you, as a brand, says that this is the best iPhone you ever made, then the iPhone should match that claim. If you're a brand like North Face and you say that this jacket is rated at minus 20 degrees Celsius, so it should keep you warm at minus 20 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, you can buy a North Face jacket as you identify as an explorer, but when you are exploring in the mountains, in the snow, and the jacket does not keep you warm or dry, all that connection or belief will go away in a snap. And the second thing brands do to keep the trust is to stay true to its core values and identity over a long period of time. This includes not frequently changing your logos, taglines, or marketing messages because such shifts can confuse loyal customers. Again, going to Nike. Since the introduction of the Just Do It slogan in 1988, Nike has consistently used it to reinforce their beliefs in perseverance and the spirit of trying. On the other hand, Adidas has struggled with consistency in its branding. Over the years, it has introduced multiple logos: the three stripes, the trefoil, and the mountain, each representing different product lines. I mean, the designs are good, but this fragmentation can dilute the overall brand identity, making it harder to establish a singular trusted message. Another example is what we saw last year in Bud Light's 2023 marketing misstep. Known for light-hearted, inclusive, and humor-driven commercials, they released an ad campaign featuring a polarizing social issue, which many felt clashed with the brand's usual values. The backslash was immediate, with a significant portion of their loyal audience feeling betrayed, leading to plummeting sales and a tarnished reputation. This incident shows that how even a single misalignment with the core beliefs can break years of trust. And the last thing that builds a long lasting trust is a great user experience. It's when companies focus on small things that really makes a difference in a user's journey. For example, Amazon and other e-commerce companies offers you easy returns and transfer your money the same day. Now, they're not legally binding to do that, but just the fact that you don't need to wait about getting money back, it makes your overall experience much better. Another example is the Apple Genius Bar, which is designed to make tech support feel approachable. Customers can book appointments, get clear explanation, and often have their devices fixed on the spot or replaced if necessary. So we have seen how we choose a brand based on initial connection, the value system, and the trust. But trust isn't just about making you believe in the brand. It's also about making you believe in yourself. Every choice we make says something about who we are, or at least who we want to be. So let's explore how brands reflect us, influence us, and sometimes even redefines who we are. And I want to start with another psychological trick. If you want someone to like you, ask them for a favor. Why? Because once they help you, their subconscious rationalizes, I must like this person. Otherwise, why would I help them? A similar thing happens when we choose a brand. The moment we invest in it, our brain justifies the decision. This brand must be good, otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it. This phenomena is a part of what psychologists call the post purchase rationalization effect. Once you buy a product, your brain works overtime to align your identity with that brand. Over time, these choices go beyond rational purchases. They start shaping how you see yourself. Remember the archetypes that we talked about earlier? Now, instead of just assigning these archetypes to the brands, you start identifying with those archetypes as yourself. So, as a designer or content creator, if I want to signal that to the world, I will choose and buy Apple products and take on the creator archetype and start identifying and signaling that to the world. If I'm preparing for a marathon, I will buy Nike running shoes to get into the spirit of just do it every time I run. Now let's take this idea a step further and explore how not just the brand identity, but also the design styles of products influence and shape our identity. Because it's not just the name on the product, it's how the design communicates who we are and how we want to be seen. Take minimalism for example. If you are someone who gravitates towards sleek, simple designs with clean lines and muted colors, you might find yourself drawn to brands like Apple or Muji. Minimalism often reflects a desire for calm, control, and sophistication. It signals a sense of clarity and purpose. If you walk into a room with a minimalist laptop, You're communicating to the world that you value simplicity, functionality, and elegance over excess. On the flip side, there are also flashy designs, the one that demand attention. Bright colors, body shapes, extravagant features. These are the products that shout, "Look at me." Whether it's a clothes, a pair of shoes, or dramatic accents. These designs cater to the individuals who wants to be seen and noticed. They signal confidence, extroversion, and a desire to stand out. Then there's also the realm of luxury. Luxury products are designed to exclude exclusivity, opulence, and sophistication. These items are about more than just their function. They're about signaling status, wealth, and an elevated lifestyle. Whether it's a luxury car, a designer watch, or a high-end handbag, the design serves as a visual cue to others that you have reached a certain status. The design of luxury products often avoids loud logos or flashy details. Instead, they focus on subtlety and quality materials. While brands help us define our identities, they can also shape our desires in ways that aren't always in our best interest. In fact, the very techniques that make branding so powerful are also the ones that can manipulate us without us even realizing it. So let's explore the darker side of the brand influence. The first key tactic is the fear of missing out, or FOMO. Brands' expertise create a sense of urgency and exclusivity, making us believe that we don't act now, we'll miss out on something crucial. Whether it's limited edition items, flash sales, or the release of a new and improved product. This constant pressure pushes us to buy, not because we truly need something, but because we're afraid of being left behind. Then there's the issue of brand loyalty. While loyalty can seem positive, it can also lock us into a cycle of consumption. When we repeatedly invest in one brand, our brains begin to associate our identity with that brand's success or failure. Over time, we may become more attached to the idea of the brand than to the actual value it offers. Brands know this and they prey on that attachment often, encouraging us to stick with them even when alternatives are way better. Another trick that brands use is social proof, which taps into our desire to fit in with others. The idea is simple: if everyone else is buying it, it must be worth having. This creates a herd mentality where we follow trends instead of making independent choices. And by the time we realize it, we already become part of the brand's ecosystem, often without questioning why. Ultimately, these manipulative strategies can lead to overconsumption and can shape us into people who value brands and the status more than the real function or meaning behind them. And to reclaim your sense of identity and resist the pull of the branding, there are three easy steps. First of which is awareness. Understanding the psychological tricks that brands use can help you recognize when you're being manipulated. If you notice yourself feeling pressurized to buy something, ask, do I really need this, or am I being sold an idea of who I want to be? And once you are aware of the situation, then you can move to the next step of mindful consumption. Before making a purchase, pause and consider whether the product aligns with your values, serves a genuine purpose, and fits within the sustainable lifestyle. My first video on this channel was about how to buy any product. Maybe it can help you. And then the third step would be to focus on timeless values over fleeting trends. Invest in products or experiences that offer long-term satisfaction rather than momentarily excitement. This might mean choosing quality over quantity or prioritizing personal growth over material possessions. At the end, all these possessions can give you the dopamine hit till you don't get them. Once you possess them, all of it just goes away. But it is a very personal realization and cannot be understood by taking my word or somebody else's word. You have to experience this by yourself. My advice would be to fall into these marketing traps. Start identifying by some of these brands and buy a bunch of these toys for yourself. Because only after that, you'll realize that none of these matters as much as you were thinking. True freedom comes when you start appreciating the products beyond the labels, just for the design and the use. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.